For today's class, our topic will be, understanding the supremacy of the Indian Constitution, particularly that why is the Constitution supreme, or, why does the Constitution have legal, why is the Constitution sovereign in India and not the Parliament? So I hope my screen is visible to you. Yes. Is the screen visible? Can anybody put it in the chat box if the screen is visible? Okay. Fine. Now, when we speak of sovereignty or legal sovereignty, or when we speak of, the source of political power, okay, the source of political power, or what do you exactly mean by this idea that who is supreme in India, who has the authority, or who has the rule making power, or say from where the power comes into existence. So there is a statement which where we can say we are speaking of supremacy of the Indian Constitution. Okay, we are speaking of the supremacy of the Indian Constitution. Particularly, we are speaking of legal sovereignty. We are speaking of legal sovereignty. Legal sovereignty means that that the highest authority, okay, the highest authority in India, in the governance, the highest authority in India in governance of the country is with whom? Is it with the people, or is it with the Constitution only, or is it the Parliament? So when we are speaking of with whom does the legal sovereignty lies in India, whether it lies in the people of the country as mentioned in the preamble, or is it there in the Constitution itself? So when we are speaking of the legal sovereignty, where it is located, the location is Constitution itself. Okay, so we can say that the legal sovereignty ultimately lies with the Constitution. Why? Because this is the supreme law. It is the supreme law of land, and it has the highest authority in legal and governance system of the country. Why? Because it makes framework, it outlines the powers and responsibilities of various institutions. क्या तरह का framework की हम बात कर रहे हैं, क्यों ये supreme है? Because this is creating an outline or giving a blueprint of who has what powers, and it will give who has what responsibilities. Kinki about the organs. Okay, so this is what we are speaking of here. Now, the constitutional actually gets its legitimacy. Matlab, the constitution is supreme. Okay, the supremacy is of constitution. The legal sovereignty is with constitution, but it has got its legitimacy from we the people, okay, from the people of the country. So why does it get its legitimacy from the people? See, the Indian Constitution was adopted by the Constituent Assembly. This we know. So this Constituent Assembly जो थी, ये representative थी, जो कि these people were elected. These people were representatives and they were elected, though it was not elected by the population of India directly, but they were elected, throughout from the territory of the country, and they kind of were voice within the house to all people of India. Okay, so the constitution derives its legitimacy from the people, but constitution is supreme because it was adopted by the constituent assembly. क्यों? जो assembly थी that consisted of members all over India. That consisted of representatives of the people of India, and once the constitution came into existence, once the constitution came into effect, rather came into enforcement. When did it come into enforcement? So after 26th of Jan 1950, this became legal sovereign authority. Okay, so in India, the constitution is supreme, but it became a legal and sovereign authority that governs the country after it came into effect. Now, what is the purpose? Why we, in the last class we have discussed that why do we need it? What does the constitution do to the government? So, जो constitution है, it actually empowers the government. Okay, it empowers the government and what do you say? It empowers the government and the institutions. It actually empowers the government and the institutions to exercise their functions. So the constitution, what it is doing, it is actually empowering. What it is doing, empowering governments and the organs to exercise functions. Okay, कौन से functions? Which are set in the constitution itself. So this we've discussed in the last class, that source of political power in India. This is another statement that I am saying here. The sovereignty, the legal sovereignty is there in the constitution. The legal sovereignty ultimate authority of legal system, wherein or the constitution in particular, it says कि भाई highest legal power किसके पास होगी. So legal sovereignty means who will have the highest legal power in the country. Who will have highest legal power or authority? किसकी authority? To govern the country. So अब आप इस चीज से पता लगा सकते हो, answering this question, who has the highest legal power in the country? Do the people of India have the highest legal authority to govern the state? Does it happen to be with the parliament? No, not with the people. So it is with the constitution. So ये जो legal sovereignty होती है, this will actually determine the framework. Okay, it will determine the principles जिनके हिसाब से आपकी जो government है, that will operate, or the government will exercise its powers. Fine. अब legal sovereignty की कुछ essentials हो सकते हैं. क्या essentials हो सकते हैं? The legal sovereignty or this highest legal power will set up something to be supreme, or it will set up supremacy of something. Now, this can be what is that highest legal system? The supremacy of constitution. Okay, now source of law will be something that will be provided. Source of law will be provided. India में ये constitution ही है. Constitution is the source of all law ना. Fundamental law बोलते हैं इसको हम. Supreme law बोलते हैं. Okay, that is what we are saying it. So that is what we are trying to say. अब legal sovereignty का कोई constitutional basis भी होगा. Okay, legal sovereignty का कोई constitutional basis भी होगा. Somewhere it is mentioned, it is the basis of legal sovereignty is constitution. कई countries में, जैसे कि इंडिया, जैसे कि यूएस, जैसे कि जर्मनी. Okay, UK में the sovereignty, the legal sovereignty lies in the parliament. The United Kingdom's parliament is known as the mother of parliaments. Okay, that is supreme. The constitution there is not supreme. Reason being, they do not have a written constitution. Secondly, the structure of the government is such that the parliament can make law on anything, and the parliament can amend any particular law which is made by the federal states, or the provincial governments, or it can also overpower the precedents which have been given. So this is the idea. So supremacy of the constitution or legal sovereignty के क्या key aspects हैं, that something will be supreme. There will be supremacy of something. There will be a highest legal system, highest authority within the legal system will be given to something which might be known as the constitution. The source of everything, the source of the place, the source from where all the laws are getting their legitimacy, that are aspects of legal sovereignty. Then in many of the countries, constitutional basis is that legal sovereignty is based on constitution. मतलब कि आपकी सारी जो ये structure है, कौन सा structure आपको सब तरह की authority provide कर रहा है, that structure might be a written document. That structure might be the supreme law of the land. It might give you, the outlines on the principles. क्या आपकी distribution of powers होंगी? What will be the structure of your government? How the rights of individuals will be safeguarded? And the government and all the organs are supposed to align with those written things. Okay. Now, when we are speaking of legal sovereignty, now to wind it up, or to explain it in a just in a very simple manner, we can say legal sovereignty is the highest. It is the highest legal authority. It is the highest legal authority within a jurisdiction. Within a jurisdiction. Okay. This is generally vested in constitution. Generally vested in constitution, which will, what will it actually provide? It will give framework and principles by which the government will operate. Okay. The government will operate, the government will, exercise its powers, and the regulations, which may be binding or which are enforceable in that particular jurisdiction. Now, examples we've done where the constitution is supreme, or where the countries where the sovereignty, the legal sovereignty lies with the constitution. Examples can be United States of America, uske andar US के constitution में है supremacy. India में rests with the constitution. Germany में, the German constitution, the name or the title. Okay, the German constitution is known as their basic law. Okay, Germany में supremacy किससे आती है? They use a word. The word is Grundgestes. Okay, it is a German word. Grund, G-E-S-T-E-Z. Grundgestes. Okay, so by this term in Germany, they mean that legal sovereignty is in their basic law. Grundgestes means basic law. So this basic law serves as their constitution, and it generally defines कि भाई वही fundamental principles क्या होंगे, what will be the structure of the German government, what will be the powers and limitations of the federal government, individual states, how the fundamental rights will be protected, what is their judicial system. So all in all in far, the government is supposed to act in accordance with the provisions of this basic law, whose name is grand justice. So this term might be somewhere, कहीं पे MCQ आ सकता है कि what is the basic law of Germany known as Grundgesetz, or what this is actually the basic law. This provides for what principle? So this provides for the principle of legal sovereignty. Okay, and these countries are illustrations. Okay, so these examples generally just say that how legal sovereignty sometimes is vested in a constitution, or it can be vested in a sovereign entity, and that authority, and from that authority the government gets its legitimacy, and it is supposed to adhere to the principles which are established by this particular document or this particular constitution. Okay, now when we are speaking of another thing, कि भाई अब what is the role of people of India? Okay, what is the role of people of India? Now we are speaking of the role of people of India, or from where does the Indian constitution gets its force? Okay, from where does the Indian constitution, just give me a moment. Okay. Now, from where does the Indian constitution gets its array? What is wrong with you? Very light. Yes. Okay. So from where does the Indian constitution gets its force? From where does the Indian constitution derives its force? This may be seen in the preamble. Okay. How it can be seen in the preamble? कि एक word है, we the people. Okay. There is this word, we the people. This particular word is provided. That emphasizes कि भाई जो constitution है, it is a product of what? Product of collective will and consent of the Indian people. Fine. Consent of the Indian citizens. Now, we know it was adopted on 26th November 1949. Okay. The Constituent Assembly members, they were, elected. They were representatives which were elected, to the people, not directly though. So the Constituent Assembly, this particular assembly or this particular group has made the Indian constitution, and in in some past, or why this particular date was chosen, does it have a historical significance? What is the concept कि भाई 26 जनवरी ही क्यों? अब इसके पीछे एक स्टोरी है. I'll tell you the story. Okay, so I'll take up a new page. Fine. So why was 26 January 1950 chosen as a date to implement the Indian Constitution? Okay, it has many reasons. 26 January has a historical significance. The historical significance is कि in 1930, okay, in 1930, 26 January को declaration हुआ था. The declaration is known as, it commemorates the declaration of Purna Swaraj in the country. Okay, or complete independence, the word can be in English. So this declaration was made by Indian National Congress in 1930. So this was done during the Lahore session of the Indian National Congress. Or what were they demanding in this particular Purna Swaraj? They were demanding complete independence. Okay, Purna means complete, Swaraj means independence. And this, by this particular 26 January, a date of adopting or a date for implementing the constitution, it tries to create a link between the birth of the Republic of India with trying to relate it with the freedom struggle. ठीक है. दूसरा क्या था कि भाई जो आपका ट्रांजिशन फेस है, okay, the transition phase from the dominion status of the republic. तो इंडिया को अपना जो इंडिपेंडेंस है, इंडिया got its independence on 15th of August. Okay, 15th of August 1947 को इंडिया को जब इंडिपेंडेंस मिला, तो इनिशियली इंडिया was a dominion within the British Commonwealth. What do you mean by dominion? Dominion matlab India did not have absolute sovereignty over it. Okay, so initially when the Britishers left India, or the British rule ended, India gained independence from the British rule on August 15, 1947. India became a dominion with the British Commonwealth. But जब constitution adopt हुआ, ठीक है, 26 January को, so we were independent, but for the meanwhile we did not have a constitution for our own selves. ठीक है, but when constitution was finally enforced, ठीक है, on 26 January 1950, this enforcement shows the transition of India from a dominion to a fully sovereign republic. Okay, which has its own elected head. There is no particular influence or interference from any outside power. So transition from dominion status to republic status का मतलब है कि now the country will start functioning through the constitution. All the constitutional processes and the establishment of India as a democratic nation will begin. ठीक है. तीसरी चीज हम इसमें कह सकते हैं कि भाई this also tries to reflect. Okay, first is Purna Swaraj, then is the dominion status transition, and the third one is that India actually gave its commitment to the democratic ideals. Or kya ideal tha? What was the commitment? To provide for establishment of a republic. So the adoption of constitution on 26 January 1950 and choosing this date actually shows the commitment of the country ki bhai they will establish a republic, they will establish to have no outside control, they will establish their own supreme sovereignty which will lie in the constitution, and they will emphasize that we are most concerned now about justice, liberty, equality and fraternity of our people, and that people have power to actually shape their own destiny. So this is what we can say. These are the three things, the symbolism of being a republic, the dating back to Purna Swaraj declaration and changing of Indian dominion from dominion status to a sovereign status. So these three, you can say he tries to explain why 26 January was actually decided by the Constituent Assembly, and they waited for almost 2 months to, enforce the Constitution, and, not to enforce it on 26th of 26th of November only. ठीक है. उसके अलावा अब जब हम बात करते हैं कि भाई we have understood why is the Constitution supreme, okay, why is the how it is a guiding document, who has the source, of actually the ultimate source is the people, the ultimate source of power, or ultimate source of political power is with the people. So we've understood the Constitution is now, say, it is adopted, it is now enforced, but what is exactly the story? What is exactly the story, that how in the first place, how was it decided कि भाई Constitution बनेगा? Okay, कैसे decide हुआ? Who was it who said that we need to have our own Constitution? What was the actual reasons कि भाई किसने सबसे पहले ये decide किया? So when we are speaking of making of the Constitution, we are actually concerned about a number of deliberations. Okay, we are concerned about the story of almost 3 years. Okay, I told you yesterday also, मतलब 2 साल 11 महीने 17 दिन exactly लगे थे in British Empire or the Queen will appoint Governor General to represent the crown. ठीक है? तो dominion status का मतलब है what kind of independence the Britishers wanted to give to India. They can self-govern themselves. They can self-govern themselves. मतलब there will be a federal structure having legislative power. They will be able to elect their own governments, but there will be a governor general that will represent the crown. ठीक है? However, ये जो governor general है will work on advice of the Indian ministers. ठीक है? Who will actually see the administration of the country. So the Governor General representing the British Queen or the Crown, the British monarch, will act on the advice of the Indian ministers. He will exercise his executive powers and he will see the administration of the country. Okay, with the ministers. This was it. Then अब इसका मतलब क्या है? सेल्फ कंट्रोल है, गवर्नर जनरल आपने बीच में डाल दिया, who is the you can say representative or the puppet of the British Queen, means it wanted to give limited government. Okay, मतलब complete independence नहीं देना चाहते थे, wanted to give limited government to India. Fine. So self governance internal matters में है, लेकिन major things, example defense, example foreign affairs, example communications. Okay, so things like defense, foreign affairs and communications will stay with British. This was the idea. Now, if a country is not able to decide for its military interventions or its defense, is not able to secure itself through any kind of military or outside intervention, तो वो sovereign ही नहीं हुआ ना एक तरीके से. So they didn't actually want to make India, completely sovereign, completely autonomous in their daily affairs, or they actually did not want India to have a separate international entity or international recognition, क्योंकि फॉरेन अफेयर्स भी ब्रिटिश ही डिसाइड करेगा. और चौथी चीज लास्ट क्या है कि ना इंडिया विल बिकम अ मेंबर ऑफ द ब्रिटिश कॉमनवेल्थ. ओके, कॉमनवेल्थ मेंबरशिप ये साथ ही लिखा जाता है. कॉमनवेल्थ इज वन वर्ड. ओके, कॉमनवेल्थ मेंबरशिप. अब कॉमनवेल्थ मेंबरशिप की बात क्या है कि इंडिया विल बिकम अ मेंबर ऑफ कॉमनवेल्थ एम्पायर, कॉमनवेल्थ, ब्रिटिश कॉमनवेल्थ. ये क्या है? इट इज अ वॉलंटरी एसोसिएशन ऑफ नेशंस विद हिस्टोरिकल टाइज ऑफ ब्रिटिश एम्पायर. मतलब जनरली जो कि ब्रिटिश की कॉलोनीज थी, ये उन नेशंस का एसोसिएशन है. ठीक है, और this particular membership provides them with a platform कि भाई तुम एक दूसरे के साथ cooperate करो and have dialogue if needed among member countries. So India को dominion status they were ready to provide, and it was given to India when it gained independence. India attained the dominion status on its independence. Dominion status to India कब? इंडिपेंडेंस कब था? 15th August 1947. ठीक है, जब इसको इंडिपेंडेंस मिली ब्रिटिश रूल से. बट दिस वाज अ शॉर्ट स्टेटस. ओके, इन 1950s जब इंडिया ने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अडॉप्ट किया, तो इंडिया ने अपने आप को रिपब्लिक डिक्लेयर कर दिया. रिपब्लिक डिक्लेयर मीन्स no more governor general, no more symbolic head, the monarch or the queen as a symbolic head. We will have a particular head for our own selves who will be elected by us. मतलब we will have a president. We are not under your control anymore. Okay, we declare ourselves as republic. Matlab, we are ending this particular status. Okay, the enforcement of the constitution actually led to ending of the dominion status of India. So this adoption or the enforcement of the Indian constitution marked the establishment of Republic of India. क्या कहता है जो Republic of India means adoption of constitution by making or establishing Republic of India, saying that it will have a president as a head of its state who will be elected one and will not be a puppet of the British Empire, instead like it was as the governor general. तो ओवरऑल जब हम डोमिनियन स्टेटस एंड मेकिंग ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की बात करते हैं, it tries to show a transitional phase in India's journey towards independence. The dominion status of India shows transitional phase. Transitional phase in what? Transitional phase of India towards its journey, to get independence, to get self-governance, complete independence. So this status, the dominion status, actually laid foundation. The dominion status of India actually laid foundation for making India completely sovereign and completely republic. Okay, so I think we will wind up here. The purpose was to just provide you today's class was about how the constitution got made, what are the contributions of the cabinet mission plan, how the Nehru resolution or the objective resolution by Nehru was put in the Constituent Assembly. Tomorrow we'll have a short discussion, okay, on when the Constituent Assembly actually sat. So rather what really happened when the Constituent Assembly met. So कौन उसमें लोग थे, who were the major people or people of repute who are important from the point of view of exams and from the point of view of awareness, who did what and what kind of discussions had taken place, and particularly what all countries or what are the sources of the Indian Constitution. So we generally call Indian Constitution as a bag of borrowings. Okay, so we'll take up this as a session tomorrow. So why is Indian Constitution known as a bag of borrowings? Today we've done one influence from that bag of borrowings, one particular aspect, that is Government of India Act. उससे क्या क्या borrow किया है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने, उसका हमने एक जनरल ओवरव्यू ले लिया है. Tomorrow we will be taking up, or in the next class we will be taking up the various countries of the world, of how they have contributed or they have influenced in making of the Indian Constitution. So that is all for today. I hope you've enjoyed the class, and if you have any doubts, you can just let me know. And that's all. Thank you for your time, and good evening, everybody. Let's meet in the next class, taking up a new topic on Indian Constitution, and keep learning, keep enjoying, keep reading. Thank you. And do go through the various facilities and other courses which are being provided by Legalstix. You might get something of your requirement, and I am sure they will help you in acing your exams, or they will help you in preparing or give you an edge over others in any kind of exams that you might have to take in future. So thank you and good evening.